Hello and welcome back to the Growth Circle podcast. I'm your host, Lincoln Amstutz, and today we have a very special guest that I'm excited to introduce. Let me go over a little bit about Caleb Stillians, who we are having on today. Caleb Stillians is the founder of Outfitter Services, an online software platform for finding epic experiences. He also guides high-end expedition hunts across Alaska. One of his endeavors is Rise Up, a movement and video series created to inspire men and women to accomplish their dreams and to believe in themselves and work to become better people today than they were yesterday. Caleb wants to encourage people to get after it and stay after it because when hunting and in life, we only have one shot and we cannot afford to miss on either one. So it is with great excitement that I will introduce Caleb Stillians. Welcome to the Growth Circle podcast.
Hey, Lincoln, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure when we get to chit chat, and hopefully people can get some nuggets out of this and see what happens.
Hey, I agree. It's always good to talk. Caleb and I, we go back a little ways here. I mean, how long has it been? Maybe 4 or 5 years we've known each other?
I think it's pushing 5 years. It was quite a bit before COVID. We talked. We were both in college at the time. We were in Colorado climbing a mountain. And we were chit-chatting back and forth, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to go all in my business, and you were in the same boat. And I think you jumped the ship a little bit before me. You got straight out of college. I did one more semester, and then I was like, okay, I'm out of here as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I know we were both in similar spots of trying to figure out what was the next step in, with school or business and life. So, yeah, it's cool to kind of see the last few years how things have changed. But I wanted to start by asking, so how does one get into hunting brown bear in Alaska, as well as starting multiple software companies from the ground up? Can you give us a little insight into your background and just take us on the start of that journey with what got you into what you're doing today?
Yeah, I'll go super quick through this. So background, grew up pretty poor, to be honest, and I knew that wasn't what I wanted for myself going forward. So I work really hard or whatever I do. And I think that's, if someone's looking for the secret to success, working harder than everyone else is the ticket, and then picking the right place to work really hard at. So don't work hard digging ditches if the ditches are not going to get you anywhere. Pick a spot to really go after it. So back on the story, as knew that wasn't for me. So graduated high school, was fortunate to do really well at archery, and won a full-ride scholarship to a college. Went over to a college. Daughter married a outfitter up in Alaska. Went up there, started guiding, and then that's how that whole snowball effect happened. And then how the software companies came about is up there guiding. Those hunts are pretty expensive. Most hunts, times you said and done, you have about 50,000 into it, start and finish. So most of the clients are businessmen. There's a few sergeants, a few lawyers, but mostly businessmen. And I met a very successful gentleman in the software business in the banking industry. And I was looking at guiding. I was doing pretty well at guiding. And I've been fortunate, and I have a really good name in that industry. But it's only scalable so big because it's directly tied to your time. How many trips can you do a year? Where software is, once you have an idea, and it's an idea that the customer base wants, you get it built, that's your biggest expense. And then if you do your project correctly, your cost to acquire a new customer is minimal. So you get that built, it's something people want, you can scale that very quickly, and it's not attached directly to your time. And obviously you gotta, the whole idea, as you found out, of the Instagram influence or the passive income, there is a level of truth to that, but there's a bunch of actively hours and hours and hours of work that it takes to build that up. Nothing's ever there's no magic pill to get you from zero to hero. It's a lot of work in between. And then as you build up, then that's when passive income comes in. It's not, oh, I'm going to do this and that's going to be the magic button. It's work.
Right. That's cool hearing how you've kind of had that and learned that from way back, just that hard work element, no matter what it is, with guiding hunts or, developing a company, that's the key there, and sticking with it Did you always know that you wanted to do something in business, do something in a non-traditional work sense, or did you start to figure that out as you went through college, or what was that process like of learning the route you wanted to go?
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's discovery. It's my story is filled with a lot of different industries, a lot of different jobs, and doing a lot of work and figuring out what I don't want. And I think that's a key to someone that might be like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. It's like, that's okay. Start doing things. And either you like them or you don't. If you don't like them, maybe move on. And that's what my story was, is I started out as honestly, I got my first job at like 10. I was picking watermelons and mums and pumpkins for this Amish guy, funny enough. Did that for a while. And then at 14, I went and got another job at a nursery, like digging up flowers and all kinds of like stuff like that. And then during that time, I was working on a farm. And nothing against that work. It's good, honest labor. But I just, that kept pushing me in a direction of, hey, I want to do something different. I don't know what. So then mid high school, say about 17, I started starting businesses that didn't go anywhere, but it allowed me to pick up communication skills, kind of start learning as you go. And I think that's, I'm sure you've heard this, but mental masturbation. It's like, you don't have to have all the answers. Just go try something. Don't get yourself in a position that you can't get back from, but go try something. And if it blows up in your face, like, don't do anything illegal, obviously. But if you go try to start a business and it doesn't go anywhere and you put all this time and energy into it, at least you know that doesn't work. And then you can take those skills and apply them to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then eventually things are going to start clicking. So that's kind of how that worked. My backstory is a lot of failure and a lot of just working hard, and you figure it out as you go.
Right. I like that. That's what you said, though, is it's a matter of taking action, though, and giving things a shot, and then you can discover if it's not something you're interested in, or maybe it's not something that you're the most gifted at, and then you can pivot and try something else. It's not a matter of researching only and just looking through all these different ideas and talking about them. You actually put them to work and try different jobs, try different businesses. And yeah, you figured out what you're good at, what businesses work, which businesses fail. And that leads you to where you're at now. And that's something that you truly enjoy and truly can see a future in growing. It seems like the guiding is something that you've done for a while and is kind of stuck even through to today. Can you give us a little bit of details of how you got into that and how that has grown and shaped you and what you're doing with it still?
Yeah, 100%. So getting into guiding, I kind of touched on it. I went up there at the age of 19, and what was going on there was this person approached me, hey, do you want to be a packer? And a packer was like an apprentice. And I was like, yeah, sure. How much do I get paid? Well, you don't get paid anything. You're going to work for us for free, blah, blah, blah. But I valued the opportunity enough that I was like, okay, I'll go up there for a year and work for free. And I worked my butt off, and a lot of opportunities came out of that. And so that led into, hey, I got my guide's license, and I developed a really good reputation very quickly because I cared about the people I was guiding. I cared about doing a good job. That's the keys to success, doing a good job and caring about it. And that snowballed effect to now I guide all the state of Alaska. I'm going to be going to Africa this year, this summer, for about a month. And it's all about looking outside the box, learning from everyone, whether it's someone that's smarter than you are and better than you are, or someone that's not as good as you, but you can see maybe they have a few things that they do right, or maybe it's things that they do that you read that other person's reaction that they did wrong. Well, now you're like, I don't want to do those things. So then you can learn from everyone. I think that's where you excel quickly. So now, fast forward today, you can hop on YouTube or wherever and type in Caleb Stillians or type in full measure. There's a lot of different films that we've done. And you can pop up and get a feel of what those hunts look like. We're using a lot of airplanes, flying into some of the most remote places on this planet, hiking 50, 60 miles sometimes, climbing mountains, taking big animals. It's a lot of adrenaline. It's a lot of fun. It's like you don't know what's going to happen. So it applies to business because there's a lot of variables that are not in your control that happen. And instead of getting so caught up on the things you can't control, you understand that it is what it is. And you just got to say, it is what it is. How can I fix the things that I can control? My attitude, my outlook, what can I change here? Because this is what it is. Maybe it's what the market's doing. That the dollar is the inflation rate's insane. Us personally can't do anything about it, but we can adjust the things that we have control of. And I think that's where it's super valuable information. So it's if you're listening to this and things are going crazy that you can't control, it's like, you got to say it is what it is. Focus on what you can control and delegate that time there.
I like that. Yep. You can only focus on that which you can actually control and make a difference in. All those variables outside of it, there's nothing that's going to get accomplished there by spending more time on it. Yes, you got to be aware of the difficulties, of the challenges that come along, but you can't let that determine what your response is to those, because often most people get weighted down by those, and they're not moving forward, whether it's in business or in a relationship or in whatever career they're at. But it's those that can see those challenges coming through and appropriately respond and move forward and make quick, educated decisions that are really going to continue to grow and push further and further. And it sounds like that's what you've been able to do, and especially even that guiding, for example.
Yeah, no, it's to your point, to add on to it, don't keep your head on the pillow and be ignorant, but don't let the bad news sterilize you to where you can't move. It's like fight or flight, right? So you can see what's going on that's bad that happens. You can run away, you can freeze, or you can deal with the situation and move forward. The first two means death. The last one means you have a shot of getting over the struggle. So it's like, think of that. It's like, if something's happening in your business, in your life, in your relationship, stop and think a second. I do this all the time. Am I running? Am I freezing? Or am I dealing with it? So think about that each time you're faced with something difficult. Because you got to do one of the three. What one are you doing?
I like that. So yeah, running backwards, running away, freezing, or actually moving forward and attacking it head on. That's a good way to look at the different obstacles that you get approached with. For your guiding, I'm very interested by just what you do up there in Alaska. Can you give a little insight? How long are you on these guiding trips, like per trip or each season? How long does that take place, and what is the process of those hunts even look like, and the different animals you're hunting for?
Absolutely. So I used to spend about 7 to 8 months out in the woods in a tent in the mountains. I've scaled that way back. Obviously, with the businesses, I can't be gone as much. Typical hunt is 10 days. So there's a lot of logistics that go into that. So if let's just call him Bob. Bob wants to go hunt a brown bear. We are going to take small aviation about where I hunt as about 500 miles from the nearest road. You get out there, you get dropped off by it's called a Piper Super Cub. It's a 2-seater plane, pilot and 1 passenger, and you can only have about 70 pounds of gear. You get landed out there, and that's your home, that tent, your gun, your gear, everything needs to fit in a backpack. That's your lifeline for the next 10 days. And that's one hunt by itself. What will happen is you'll stack hunts on top of each other. So you'll get one guy in, you'll take him hunting, tag him out. Sometimes you go back, or if it's super rush, you might just stay out in the wild, and you just do that. And I used to do that like 3 months in a row, where I was off the road system, off the grid, no internet for months at a time. And it's fun. It puts perspective on normal life, because if something is like going wrong, you could always ask yourself, is someone going to die? And if no one's going to die, then it's like, let's deal with this. It's not that big of a problem. And even if someone's going to die, how is you panicking going to change anything? You should look at the situation for what it is and deal with it.
That's good. That's so good, because I'm sure it gives you a lot of perspective, like you're saying, when you're in those genuinely life or death scenarios sometimes of, these wild animals all around, or you've got to be on your A game. You've got to have the appropriate response at the right time. And so, coming back to more normal life, or, whether it's business or interactions with people, we can tend to, I feel, overreact often on, things that get thrown our way, issues, stresses, and you've got to, like you said, you've got to maintain a level head, making steps forward, not dwelling on those things. And I'm sure what you're doing there in Alaska has helped set you up well for the different stresses that come along with business and making decisions.
100%. It's one of my favorite things to say. It is what it is. Now, what are we going to do about it? It's you can't. What's happened. What can we control about it? And it's I think a lot of that does come from those scenarios. And for someone I'm thinking right now, I'm picturing someone that hasn't done much. It's don't go out there and just go do as much as you can and work as hard as you can, and understand you might not get a payoff for several years down the road. But those experiences, you're not gonna gain that from a book. And I think me and you can both relate to this. I didn't start reading books until probably about 3 years ago. It was right before when COVID happened. I was already guiding. I was already started a couple of businesses by then. And it's because I gained experience from doing things. And as you do things, I believe you come to a point of understanding of life. And then it's kind of funny when you get to that point and then you actually get into studying, reading books. You find that these successful people from the past also came to the same conclusions. But knowledge without experience, in my opinion, it's not worthless, but it's not the same. It's it's good to go out and read. I'm not saying don't read. Go out there and educate yourself. But if all you're doing is educating yourself and you're not getting any practical experience behind it, that's you being able to quote a book to me is not valuable. Can you do the actions that book says? And I think that's for if there is a newer person that's just starting out, let's listen to this. Go out there and do a bunch of stuff. If you think you're doing too much, you're not doing just keep doing stuff. Your calendar should be stacked with stuff to do. Right.
Because we can get stagnant if we are only reading books, only listening to podcasts, and just educating ourselves. It can almost make it that much harder to take the actual steps forward into doing whatever it is you want to work on in business or that you're trying to create. Versus if you start by taking action, right? Although it might be a little bit blind and you don't know all the ins and outs, at least you have the wheels turning and you have some momentum going forward so that when you read, when you educate, you actually have something, tangible to apply it to, things that you're actually working on that this education can now benefit, right? I think the education can be like a speed boost and push you forward faster, potentially, if you use it well and you're looking, from the right sources, the right people, but it on its own is not going to move you forward one bit. It's just all staying up here. Versus, I think what your point is just start taking action, start trying things out, failing, succeeding, and then add in that component of learning along the way.
100%. And you can do both simultaneously, and you can do some education and then go do a bunch of experience. But something I've encountered in the past is people that, and I'm sure I've been this person in the past, so hopefully those guys forgive me if I have been, is people wanting to tell me how much they know without any evidence of stuff that they've done. And it's you just want to tell them to shut up. It's what have you actually done though? And if it's nothing, it's I don't care how many Joe Rogan podcasts you've listened to, you know what Joe Rogan says, but you are not as smart as him. Just because you can say, oh yeah, this and this and this will happen, it's you hoard it off of a podcast. It's and I'm not discounting, I think podcasts are awesome, but if you don't have that experience, actively going out and doing it, you can say what Lincoln says, and you're going to sound like him. You're going to say the same words. You might listen to it 5 different times where you have the verbiage down. You can talk the talk, but if you can't walk the walk and you haven't done the stuff behind it, then it's honestly useless for someone that's looking for your skills, or if you're trying to do something. It's go out there and do stuff.
Right. No, I 100% agree. And I'm curious, I know you said that these hunts can even range upwards of 50,000 by the time it's all said and done. So you've got to be dealing with a certain clientele that can afford that. And the conversations that take place over a week-long hunt out in the middle of, Alaska. What have you gained from those relationships? Have those been interesting and how have you maybe even learned from those individuals?
Most of what I've learned business related has come from those individuals. So it's an awesome opportunity if you're like, hey, I don't know what to do, and you want to go out there and meet some fantastic people, and you tough enough to go be a packer and then become a guide, because it's not easy. You will make some phenomenal relationships, and I've learned a lot. Those when you're all one-on-one on a mountain, and like literally as the guide, that person is trusting you with their life. Like I've had several bears charge me. I've been in the ocean where the waters get nasty, and the ocean is one thing that will kill you really quickly if you mess up, if it's angry. And it's like, you got to make the right calls and continue to do that. And there's not, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to take a break, I feel sorry for myself. It's like, well, this is what's got to happen. If I quit, I could die. So it's like, you deal with that. So that forges a bond with those people. I'm blessed. It's kind of funny. A kid that is from Missouri that grew up pretty broke I'm blessed to say that some of my closest friends have a lot of zeros behind their names. And that's not puffing my chest. It's just saying that if you work hard, successful people look for people that are wanting to be successful as well, and not just say it, that are actually doing it. And if we're trying to do it, obviously. And those people see that, and then they're willing to give you opportunities, whether it's on my level, where it's up in Alaskan, very successful people from all over the waters coming to hunt with you, or if it's becoming a caddy at a golf place and building those connections, or however you need to do to show that you're walking, that you're paying attention. And that's a big thing. People pay attention. Like, people pay money to people who pay attention. People pay attention to people who pay attention. So you might be walking hard, and this is, again, I'm speaking to someone that might be listening to this that's just starting out. Say you get a job at a golf caddy place, and you're walking hard, you get them the club, but then in between times, you're sitting there playing on your phone, you're not paying attention. That person's not going to pay you any attention, because you're not on, like, that should be who you listen to. You should be paying attention to, hey, this person wants this. You know what they want ahead of time. You've already figured them out, and they're going to see that hey, that person switched on. He's not waiting for me to command. He's actively trying to figure out what I need. And why I use that example is it's what I do in Alaska. It's unique, but it's still a service-based business. My job is to take this individual that paid all this money to go on this experience. I know what he needs before he knows what he needs, because I'm paying attention to his body language, his breathing, etc. And so you don't have to go and do an extreme hunt and become a guide to gain those connections, especially in the local community. Like you've done it. You joined a country club, all these people. I remember back in the day when we were doing those real estate meetings, you were there networking, you were paying attention, figuring out who needs what and how can you help them. And then that's opened up a bunch of doors and just led you where you're at now.
Right. I think that's so good, that line of what you're saying there. People pay attention to those who pay attention, right? No matter who you are, where you're at, you have the ability to look for others that are in your network, in your circle, who are successful, that you admire in various aspects of their character, their maybe financial success, the businesses they've built, or the position that they're in. And like you said, that example of somebody that's working at a golf course, if they are taking their extra time, not just to hang out, be on their phone, do whatever, but they're looking around for the regulars, for the people that are there. Often they can be taking extra steps to help them out, right? Bringing them the water when they're, taking a break for a moment, or having the golf cart ready when they're, about to, their tee time's coming up. Those little things that you start to pick up in any job, that is going to be the opportunity for you to take a step forward and adding value to somebody's life, and then getting an opportunity potentially for a greater position or a greater role, because those people have noticed that you are paying attention. So I think what you're touching on there is huge, and something that you've taken advantage of in those relationships while you're hunting, and I'm sure, even follow-ups after that, because you've definitely done a good job of even with, our relationship in business and hanging out. And I know with others, of following up, of doing that constantly. How important is that in just continuing to stay in touch and talk to the people in your network and circle?
100%. Follow-up is not everything, but it's almost everything. And follow-up from a standpoint of not what can I get from this person, but follow it up just to be friends with that person. And then if something comes up down the road where it makes sense to do business, then you do it. I think that's what I've seen the most, that I see people make mistakes, especially the very, very successful people, is that, oh, he is worth 200 million. Man, he could give me $1 million and not hold him. And people sniff that out really quickly. And it's easy to see in people like, hey, can I get some of that money type of a deal? And your approach to like anybody, not just successful people, anybody, should not be what can I get from them. It should be what can I give them and what can I do for them. And if you have that approach, money will follow. And it's easy, especially like you're starting a new software company. It's easy to get in that mindset of, I need this person's money, I want this person's money, blah, 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 because you get into those pain stages of growing, of starting up. And as soon as you start going down that path, you have to catch yourself and say, F that. I'm not doing that. No way. I'm here to solve these people. This is what I'm going to do for them. And just back up what you have to say. And that's how you got to approach it, is whether someone's worth $50 that you're doing, you're selling him a piece of bubble gum, you're giving him the bubble gum because it's going to make him happy, and in return he's going to give you money. Whether all the way up to the biggest business deal you can think of. Like, that's how you have to be in the frame of mind. It's funny, like, me and you both believe in God and we read the Bible. Those principles of the first shall be last, and the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. It's that principle applies in everything. It's like people look at some business people as jerkwads, etc. That's not been my experience. Most of the very successful people that I know are some of the nicest, kindest people that always put other people first. And since they've done that, they've seen opportunities in the market and they've created solutions to those problems, and it's paid off insane for them. And it's the same thing in life.
Right. It's so true, because there's just this natural tendency that whenever you're giving and constantly providing value, helping out others, and you're constantly giving of yourself, there's this natural human tendency to want to give back, to want to do something, in return for, the gifts that they've been given, or the time and energy, whatever it is. So, if we're trying to work with these super successful people and we're trying to learn from them, is there a ton that we can give them? Maybe not, right? But it shouldn't be a matter of going up to that person and saying, hey, I'd love to learn from you, pick your brain, let me know how I can provide value. It's like, no, now you're assigning them a job of figuring out how they need to, how you can, benefit them, when in reality, there's probably not much there to begin with. Instead, get creative, just be a friend, like you're saying, and do the little things over the course of time. And then after a while, either that person, you have a good friendship with them, or they're going to reach out and be willing to give you some valuable education and information of things they've learned, or even partner with you on business deals. I can even, say that for myself, that there's these guys I constantly was sending wholesale deals to, right? Trying to get them into properties. And eventually they're like, hey, do you want to work with me on an apartment building that we're purchasing? And I was able to enter a great opportunity there. So there's definitely that way of looking at providing value and helping people out, of giving and giving and giving without immediately asking for something in return. And like you said, putting others before yourself is so crucial in business and in life.
100%. And it's like, for someone that already has, or is very successful in business, what you can give them is your attention. And that's what it is. It's like, when you're in their presence, you're paying them attention, you're listening to what they have to say, and you're asking true questions to them. I think that's one thing that I've gotten quite a bit better at, and it's helped me, is like, don't ask questions just for the sake of asking a question. Like, actually ask a question that you want to know the answer, or you don't know the answer, because that's what those, in my opinion, people in that position maybe not crave, but value, is someone that is not after their money, that just wants to talk to them, to learn, to grow. And how you add value to them is, like I said, it's paying attention. Like, it's not that hard to win for anybody that's listening to this. It's doing just those few things extra that no one else does. You see, if you want to get more dates, start opening doors for ladies. Like, you might piss off some feminists, but whatever, you wouldn't want to date them anyway. So, like, just those little things that make a huge difference across the board. It's do 20% more than everyone else, and you reap the benefits time and time again.
Yes, so good, so good. I was curious. You've created this whole brand around Rise Up, and you have a good social following and presence there, and sharing these the journeys and experiences you've had in Alaska. What was the start of that? What got you interested in filming and recording your experiences up there, and how did that come about? What drove you to doing that?
Yeah, no, so where the Rise Up, the whole like mantra, I guess you could say, came from is I was homeschooled for a while, and I had jobs and stuff like that. And then I went to public school, junior and senior year of high school, and that was it was interesting to see, because I remember doing the ACT and how everyone was like shooting for average, like, hey, I need a 19 or a 21 to get into this college. And I was thinking to myself, what's the perfect score? 36. It's like, shouldn't we just all be shooting for a 36, and wherever the college lays, where the college lay, and then you can take it again? So I think that's where, like, hey, we need to rise up and stop the shooting for the bare minimum and do our best in every aspect of our life, business, relationships, whatever it is. Just shoot for the best, and then wherever you land at, now you can get better from there, instead of shooting for the outhouse. It's like, why would you shoot for the bare minimum? That's crazy. And why I started doing it is kind of, honestly, I wanted to share what was like the experiences I was having. And I was lucky, and I was randomly paired with a videographer in college when I was going to Missouri State. And he was like, hey man, I'm about ready to graduate. You need someone to come video the hunts? Like, hey, I need to get walk experience. I'm like, well, damn, I really don't have the extra money to do that, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, is a big secret to being successful too is having big balls, and like, well, we'll figure it out. So excuse my French, but that's what it is like, be willing to put them on the line. So we did it, and it goes both ways for him too, because we were just roommates. He's like, I'm going to go up to Alaska, do all this. And I was like, crap, I got to figure out how to come up with plane tickets, etc., X, Y, and Z. And it worked out. So I started a pretty successful video series that I could have memories, share with my kids and my grandkids one day. And then he's currently working for the Kansas City Chiefs and does all their filming stuff now. So it paid off both ways. He figured out value for me. And going back to, hey, what can I do for you? It's like, hey, he had something that, hey, Caleb does all this cool stuff. Probably be cool. He would probably like to have that film. So he went and like, hey, this is what I would do for you. And we did it. So it's same thing for you guys. It's like, maybe you see a business that needs better marketing or something, instead of being like, hey, I'll fix your marketing for $5,000. Maybe you should go and like fix your marketing, come up with a plan, and then, hey, if this works, then we can figure out something. If you run in like a marketing agency and not getting any luck, show that you can produce, and then people open the door.
I like that. Because you decided to take a risk, take a chance of like, hey, I don't have a ton of money right now to invest in this, the videography, photography, but I think that this could provide a lot of value, give people insight into what I'm doing, and could build something out of it. You brought him along, and because you took that chance, and of course he had to take a chance as well. After all this time now, he's got a great job doing something I'm sure he absolutely loves doing, with videography, photography, and now you both benefited because you took that jump and did something that a lot of people aren't willing to do. So you guys, if you haven't checked out, Caleb Stillians, Rise Up, his brand, you definitely need to take a look there on Instagram and YouTube and other places, because it's always incredible to see just the landscape of the places that you're guiding at, and just the storytelling even that you put into your videos. Is that something you feel like comes pretty naturally? Is is crafting that video and the story there, or do you have help with that when you put those together?
So the editing, I have someone else do it for me, and then I am like, I guess they would call it director. Think of it as conductor. Like I know what direction I want to go. I know what story I want to say. And what's kind of cool about the film stuff that we do is I tie the hunting to like life lessons, because each hunt has its own lesson. Like there's one episode from the season 1 that I'm talking about. Hey, if you're going up the mountain and it feels it's beating you up, you're tough, like it's draining you. You have to climb over rocks, climb through brush. It's rough. But at the same time, if you stop and turn around and look back, you can see beautiful views. You can see how far the mountain you came. And where that it was coming from is I had a buddy that passed away. He committed suicide that same week when we filmed that. Like it was like emotional roller coaster. And that lesson from that happening, that piece of life lesson, also applies the hunting, and hunting applies that life lesson. Is no matter how hard it's being. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, I'm done, I'm gonna tap out, and it's like, you can look at the negative and focus at it, and you'll find plenty negative if you look for it. But if you flip it, you can find plenty of positive if you look for the positive. It's I think they call it the reticular activation system or something like that in your brain. Is what is important to you, what you're thinking about is what you'll notice in your surroundings around you. So if you like life sucks, it'd be better if I wasn't here, guess what? You're going to find those things that add proof to that confirmation bias. Or if you like, when those thoughts come up, you're like, no, I am not going to have those thoughts. I'm going to think about focusing on positive things. And then, because like our thoughts will pop up from everywhere. You have negative thoughts and you have positive thoughts. Those are the thoughts. Now you pick what thoughts you act on, and that is what results in my opinion, your emotion, your feeling, at least from my experiences. So when you have those negative thoughts that are not good, you like, you know what? Excuse my French, but F those. The positive ones, that's who I want to be. That's who I want to be known for. And you pick those and you put action behind it. And as you do that, you build up confidence, you build up wins, you build up all the things in life that you need. And it's a daily struggle. It's just like with your relationship with God, right? It's a daily struggle. You pick the right choices. Sometimes you pick bad ones. Repent, whatever you need to do to make it right. And now let's move forward and focus on making good decisions, positive thoughts, etc. So I know that was a little off the warm trail, but
yeah, no, I think it's good because people need to hear that, right? They need to know that you're going to have a variety of things constantly coming into your life, thoughts and different things that come through, but it's a matter of where you decide to focus your attention and what is in your mind's eye throughout the day, right? And it's a matter of, okay, if there's a difficulty, right, we can think through this. We can even sorrow for a time, if something sad comes up, but it's a matter of now let's take the next best step forward. Who can we turn our eyes to help that might be going through a similar situation that they might need some help now that we've been here, right? So it's turning that situation around and seeing who can I benefit from this, right? And focusing on that, which is actually going to, take you forward and make progress. So I think what you're saying there is key for a lot of people. One question I had for you, Caleb, I know that you've had your hands in all kinds of different business ventures, and even a little bit in real estate. And on the show, we talk a good amount about business and real estate and such. I was curious, did you have one kind of seller finance, creative real estate deal back in the day that you had worked?
Yeah, I did. It was a small little deal. Borrowed $40,000 on it. Paid the guy 10% interest on his money because that was like way better than what the market was doing, and then flipped it for it was 100 and something. So flipped it around, did real well on it, and the way I look at is business, and this is something that I've started to discover over time, is there's money to be made everywhere. There's success to be had everywhere. You need to pick what you're going to stick with the longest and do that until you're at a point where either you sell out or you do something you stick with it your entire life. There's nothing wrong with that. So I've done a lot of things, and I've tried to do a lot of things at once. And where you have the best success is when you pick one thing, two things max, and you really delegate and dive into that. Because it's there's only so many things you can manage at one time, especially when you're by yourself. Now, once you have a big team underneath you, that changes it. When you can build a team and you have a team taking care of the day-to-day operations, then you can go out and play around, maybe building another team. But till you're at that point, when you're the guy making stuff happen, you need to focus on one thing and build that up until it's successful enough where you have that team in place.
100% agree. You got to have a focus enough to willing to go all in on something, because you've got people in whatever industry, you're wanting to pursue. You got people that have been doing it for 5, 10, 30, 40 years that have all this experience. They have full-on teams built up that are running after this. So, what are the chances of us, right, these startup individuals trying to, make a name and find success in whatever industry or business? How difficult is it for us if not only, are we focusing on one, but if we're spreading our time on 3, 4, 5 different business ventures, right, are we really going to be able to achieve the success that puts us in, the top percentile for whatever field we're in, versus if we have that focus and we're willing to go all in on something, then you have that chance of actually competing and standing out in your field. And I wonder for you, what led you to Outfitter Services? What led you to the few businesses now that you are focusing on, rather than, just a variety of things that you had tried out?
Yeah. So with real estate, really like real estate. It's a great option. It just didn't, at this point in my life, fit like what I wanted to do. So that's like, you just got to pick through, because I travel a lot, right? I move around in Africa, Alaska. And software is something that I can manage the people online and be less physically present in a location. And you can kind of do the same thing with real estate, but it's more difficult. If you have deals that are way over here, like off your map, it's harder in my opinion, it's harder to manage that and do as good a job as if it's in your ecosystem. Is that true from your experience, would you say?
Yeah, I agree. Especially, yes, starting, within real estate, but I'd say most businesses that are, location dependent, you're absolutely stuck a little bit into that space versus what you're doing, with online and software. It allows that flexibility, which fits your lifestyle and the things that you've got going on. So that's kind of, it sounds like what, led you towards that specifically is, the different benefits that come with that.
Yeah, you just got to go through and figure out what your goal is, and then does your actions support that goal? And then if it doesn't, definition of insanity, right? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if I'm sitting here doing a business, say it's in real estate, and I'm traveling around and my real estate business is not doing what I want it to do, either I need to potentially quit traveling around as much and spend more time in a central location in that main target area where I'm looking to buy real estate, looking to build a network, etc. Then that's what I need to do. My actions need to change to fit my goal. Well, if I don't want to change my actions because this is what I'm super passionate about, then I need to change my goal and make sure your actions got to align with your goal. If they offset, and then you're spinning your wheels, right? It's not going anywhere fast.
Right. Yep, that's it. I like what you're saying is aligning your actions to the goals that you have, or guiding, attaching the actions, to those goals, so that you're reverse engineering it there to figure out, all right, what am I going to focus on? What am I going to choose here? So I completely agree. I'm curious, for you coming to this place, and you're establishing this startup company essentially from scratch, it sounds like. Can you take us through Outfitter Services, what it is, how it got started, and a little bit of the background on what, that main business that you're focusing on now is?
Yeah, absolutely. So 4 years ago, I'm sitting on the side of the mountain working for this guy that I met at one of these shows that I thought was a reputable guy. He's got a $2 million lodge, a $3 million yacht. This guy's got it going on. I want the same things. So that was 5 years ago, and then I started working for him 4 years ago. On the mountain with him, he's a crook. He's scamming people. He's not doing good business. It's eventually going to come back and bite him in the butt. But that's enough about him. So I'm sitting on the mountain, and I'm thinking, there's a lot of problems in this industry that I know really well, that no one's doing a good job of fixing. I can fix these things. So I started from a place that I had a decent amount of real world experience in. I can solve these, and I took that and applied it to the software. Fast forward now, we're growing. It's similar to Airbnb. You can hop on there, source from hunting, fishing, firearms training, and eventual globally. Like we have trips in Africa, lower 48, Alaska, Europe, and we're growing every day. You can go on there, figure out the trips you want to go on, and book them and get in contact with that outfitter. And then with that, how it solves the initial problem that came up with the idea, it's similar to Uber, right? As you have hunts happen, that client has to leave a review on the outfitter, and the outfitter has to leave a review on the client. So then people either do what they say they're going to do, or they continue to be a crook. And if they continue to be a crook, no one's going to want to go do business with them on the platform. And what we are going to do with the platform is make it the place to go book outdoor epic experiences. So if you're not on the platform, you might as well not be in business, is where we're going to take this thing. So that's where we're at. That's where we've led to. And it's just it's seeing a problem that you can feel and be willing to jump all in and make it happen.
That's good. You didn't just go out and create some sort of software and then try and find the clientele for it. You already knew that there was an issue here. There was a problem that needed solved. And you're like, okay, we can create a technology and website around this that people can come to then and benefit from. So it's essentially, you're saying, kind of like an Airbnb equivalent, but for these hunting, guiding type of ventures, even firearms. And that is really not something that's out there currently, or at least you guys are doing it a lot differently.
Yeah, so it's exactly like that. You can go on there, browse the different experiences, see what's included, sort out what your preferences is in that experience, and then it'll come up with your different options, like via location. So if I'm going to be in Arizona, I can go check out Arizona, what's available in Arizona this time of year that I'm going, and from there you make a decision. It's just like that. And there's other companies that are in the marketplace that are doing a poor job of it, and I don't mean to be mean to my competition, but we are going to kill them. Like, I wish them the best of luck, but they won't win because we will outwork them 10-1. So it's like same thing. We are already better than they are, and we're 3 months old as a company, and we are kicking butt. So there's people. Correct me if you disagree with this, or discuss it if you disagree with this. But people like demonize ego, and I think you got to control your ego, but it's okay to have a little bit of it. Because if you don't, then you're just a passive person in the corner. It's like, don't be a jerk. Don't ever put anybody else down, but believe that you are the best and then prove it. Like, don't say you're the best and be terrible at what you do. You believe you're the best. Make sure you have the evidence behind it to prove it. Don't be boastful about it, but the facts are what the facts are, and it's okay to. Again, I'm pretty damn good at this, and that's something I'm only starting to discover this year, because I'd always like downplay myself, and it was actually kind of hurting me in a way in certain settings. And it's like one of my buddies at a Special Forces, retired Special Forces, he's got a podcast, One's Ready. If you want to check it out, it's pretty cool. And he's like, dude, you're freaking probably the best guide in the industry for sure. With your age, you're factored into it. And I'm like, well, thanks. I don't know about that. He's like, Caleb, shut up. You are. Like, it's facts. Quit down. And that goes with anything. It's like, don't be like yelling it, but if someone says, hey, good job, be like, hey, thank you, I appreciated that. We did a good job. Like, accept that. Don't self-defecate yourself, I guess, in a way.
Yes, I'm definitely with you on that, right? There's obviously an extreme of it where you're always the one that's sharing about these great things that you're working on and, putting yourself out there, as such a great, successful person. And, there's the extreme of that. But what you're touching on is is just having that confidence of knowing what you've done, what you're capable of. And those can be great things, right? It's not like you are succeeding and at the same time others have to be failing because of that. It's not this opposite. You can be winning with other people, but it's knowing what you're capable of, what you're good at, and having that mindset, right? Because if you don't have that mindset going into something like, I am the best in my industry, right? We will beat our competition. We will work harder. And if you're lacking that confidence and security of what you're doing, then how do you ever expect to be that number one person that you're striving to be, right? It starts in the mind. I 100% agree. But that, definitely doesn't mean that you aren't helping the others that you're around. You're not helping, caring for those that are in need. We provide a lot of value with these companies that we're building, with all of the clients that we're working with, the problems that we're solving. But at the same time, in order to really compete with these other people that are out there, you've got to have that confidence in what you're doing and to take you to the next level.
I'll put it like this for like the listeners. I'm gonna talk to you in 3 different ways. So one's gonna be, hey Lincoln, we can go hunting. We do pretty good usually. We're not bad at what we do, and we'll probably get you an animal and you'll have a good time, and it'll all be good. Next one, we're the greatest fucking people that I ever guided outfitting, and we're gonna kill you an animal 100%. It's gonna be all sunshine and rainbows, and you're gonna be wanting to marry my daughter and give me all your money at the end. Obviously, I'm inflating the extremes. And then one's like, we're all really good at what we do. We have a really good track record. Like, I can't promise you the future, but in the past, we've been 100%. And I and my team will do our best. And we truly believe that we are the best in the industry. Our track record supports that statement. So if you want to do business with us, let's do it. Let's get it done. What questions you have, and we can get this moving forward. Like, you can hear the difference in that. One's unfounded ego, saying big words but not having facts behind it. The other one's too passive. Sometimes what I fall into, like, oh, ego's bad. I shouldn't take any credit or any of the successes that I've had. And then there's that balance of in the middle, that we're all really good at what we do, and we're all the best, and we will win. Would you like to be a part of that? And it's like figuring out where you need to be at in that spectrum.
It's good. No, that's so good. That's what a good leader is, right? It's somebody that knows their value, knows their worth, and is able to communicate that to their clients or whoever they're trying to work with, but not be on the extremes on either side, because that's not going to help anybody. That's only going to put yourself down, maybe your company down, and not provide the value that you could by underplaying it. Or it's being pompous, it's being over the top, and nobody's going to want to work with somebody that's on that side as well. So it's going about it in the right way. And I'm with you. I've definitely had to grow into not being the guy that's just too passive, not really stating what we do and such, because then again, you're not able to give value there because people aren't going to want to work with you. But if you are clear, you're confident and concise, and just clear on what you're able to provide, that's somebody that people can trust and get along with in business. Yeah. Well, hey, I wanted to transition now into the time in our podcast where we ask the same 4 questions to each guest that we have. So if you're ready, I'm going to throw these your way. The first one being, what is one of the best pieces of advice that you've been given?
Okay, one of the best pieces of advice I've been given. I'm going to give you 2 answers because I think it's twofold. One is, never take advice from someone in an area you wouldn't switch places with. So whether it's money, don't take advice from broke people. If a guy has a terrible relationship, him and his wife fight all the time, probably don't take dating advice from him. So find the people in the areas of life you want to get better at that you would actually switch places with. That's a big piece, because you don't want bad advice. That bad advice costs you a lot of time and money. And then the second one is this: you got to increase your inputs to get the outputs that you want. You can't expect that, oh, I had this great idea, it's going to come to me. You've got to put in the time in that. It's like when we were friends and you were starting your business out now. I remember you were at that house with that duplex with that one kid. I don't remember that kid's name, but you were cold calling on your own. You delegated this time to sit behind the computer. and you cold called every morning. And it was like that. Those were the inputs that got you the outputs of where you're at now. And you can't skip those.
So good. So good. I like that. So yeah, taking advice from people that you'd be willing to change places with in that area, as well as, making a lot of inputs to get those outputs. Good. Well, number 2 then, what is one of your favorite business books?
I really like, I would say a good one is $100 million offers. And then I'm going to give 3 books just because it's hard to get all that you need from one book. $100 million offers, Never Split the Difference by Chris Ross, and either Rich Dad Poor Dad or How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think if you have those 4 books down, that's going to get you that's all the information that you need to really crush it. But honestly, more information than what you need to really crush it. But that's a good starting point.
Those are good. Yeah, I've read 3 of the 4. I need to read the first one you mentioned, the $100 million. What's the name?
Leads. It's by Alex Hormozi. Read that book. It's really good. It's the thesis of the book is how to create an offer that's so good that the person that you're making the offer to feels silly saying no. It's a good book. And one that's not business related that gives perspective to life, I would recommend is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. The guy was in Auschwitz, so concentration camp, Nazi Germany, had everything removed out of his life. And you can see he writes that book as like someone watching the experience that he was in and how different people responded to it and how you can fortify yourself to be a good human being regardless of the circumstances that are around you. So it's not a business book, but a really good one that if someone is only going to read one book other than the Bible, that would probably be the one that I recommend.
Hey, yeah, that's great. No, those are some solid suggestions. Yeah, definitely look into those because I think those are definitely my top list as well, I'd say.
Yeah, and I apologize about not following the rules. It's like you said one and I said a bunch.
We could bend rules a little bit. We can do that a bit. Number 3 then, what is one character trait you notice that successful people commonly share?
Being logical, less emotion, more logic. All of them have that. None of them fly off the handle that I've seen. I mean, I guess if you push them hard enough, they would. But whatever the business deal, whatever they're getting into, it's like they look at the facts and then make a decision from there.
Right. That's so good. Yeah, I'm just looking at it logically and taking it one decision at a time. I agree. Well then, number 4 here, where can people connect with you, Caleb?
Yeah, so just Google my name, Caleb, with the C, and then Stillians is spelled Stillians. It should pop everything up. I would highly recommend anybody that listens to this go to Outfitter Services, create an account, check out all the awesome hunts and experiences that are on there. Go through, build your bucket list. If you can't afford to go on some of the trips on there, but you want to go on them, you can click the little crosshairs that are on them and put them on a bucket list for you to go check back down the road.
I like it. Yeah, everybody definitely check out Caleb on all of his different socials. It's you'll be impressed when you see his pages and just the different photography and video stories that he's got there. So take a look. Any final thoughts? Any questions you wish I would have asked you?
I think it was great. I enjoyed it. I mean, this is going to blow up. You're a great interviewer. You've been a good friend for a long time. So I appreciate you having me on. And for everyone that listened to this, hopefully they got some value out of it. And it was worth their time well spent because your time and attention is the most valuable thing that you have. So make sure you spend it in the right places.
Yes. Yeah. So it's been good. It's been great. Seeing your growth over the last several years here and very excited for where, you and your companies are going to be going. So everybody definitely stay tuned with Caleb. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Growth Circle podcast. If you did find value from it, we ask that you would leave us a 5-star review, share it with somebody who could benefit. And again, Caleb, great conversation. Appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me. See you later.
We'll see you. Thanks.